industry thought she would stay quiet. They thought the storm had passed. They thought the whispers would fade into background noise. They were wrong, because tonight, the silence shatters. Jaguar Wright has broken her silence. And what she's alleging about Teyana Taylor and a circle of powerful A-list names is sending shockwaves through Hollywood in a way we have never seen before. This isn't a diss track. This isn't a messy breakup. This isn't recycled gossip pulled from a blind item blog. This is calculated. This is deliberate. And according to Jaguar, this is only the beginning. In a live session that viewers are already calling the most dangerous stream in celebrity history, Jaguar didn't stumble over her words. She didn't hedge. She didn't imply. And she spoke like someone who knew exactly how heavy her claims were and exactly who would be watching. Names were dropped, patterns were exposed, alleged private decisions were hinted at. Powerful men, strategic silence, sudden behavioral shifts, carefully timed disappearances, legal teams moving faster than publicists, NDAs signed before emotions could even settle. And then came the moment that froze the room, the moment when the energy shifted, the moment when the chat exploded. Because this wasn't about one relationship. It wasn't about one divorce. It wasn't even about one celebrity. Jaguar suggested a network, a quiet, hidden thread connecting Teyana Taylor to some of the most recognizable names in music, film, and sports. A pattern, she claimed, that most people were never meant to notice. She described sudden breakups that weren't organic, projects that mysteriously stalled, artists who retreated from public view with vague explanations about exhaustion, men who, in her words, changed overnight. And when concerns surfaced, according to Jaguar, Hollywood didn't investigate. Hollywood contained. Phone calls happened off record. Meetings happened without calendars. Stories went into legal review and never came back out. Blogs hesitated. Journalists stalled. Social media threads disappeared as quickly as they trended. And if you think that's dramatic, wait until you hear what she implied about the emotional aftermath behind closed doors. Because Jaguar didn't frame this as gossip, she framed it as damage. Damage that, she claims, was quietly absorbed by individuals while the machines surrounding them kept spinning flawlessly. She spoke about private shifts in behavior, anxiety that didn't match the narrative, distance replacing intimacy without explanation. She claimed that once certain behind-closed-doors moments unfolded, reputations were protected at all costs, even if that meant isolating the people who felt something wasn't right. And the most chilling part? She insisted more documentation exists. Messages, timelines, patterns, connections that, if pieced together, allegedly tell a very different story than the polished red carpet version we've been fed. By the time her live session ended, fans weren't just debating, they were panicking. Because if even a fraction of what Jaguar is implying is true, this isn't just a scandal. It's a structural crack in the foundation of celebrity power itself. And what happens next could change how we look at Hollywood forever. Jaguar didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. The calm was what made it terrifying. She leaned forward on that live stream, eyes steady, tone controlled, and said the kind of things that don't trend for long, because they aren't supposed to. She began with Teyana Taylor, not as a villain, not as a caricature, but as the center of what she described as a quiet storm that powerful people have been scrambling to keep contained. Jaguar claimed this wasn't about romance or jealousy. It was about patterns, repetition, a sequence of private decisions that allegedly left emotional wreckage behind while the public narrative remained spotless. And then she said a name that made the comments section freeze. Iman Shumpert. According to Jaguar, he was the first to sense the shift. She described subtle changes, guarded conversations, sudden distance, energy that didn't match the love-heavy posts fans were still seeing online. She claimed he felt something was off long before the divorce paperwork ever surfaced. And when he finally filed using their full legal names, she implied it wasn't pettiness. It was pressure. Jaguar alleged there were conversations happening behind the scenes that never reached the blogs. She described a moment where legal guidance entered before emotional clarity ever had a chance. Phone calls instead of texts, in-person meetings instead of emails, no digital trail. And that's when she pivoted. Because she said Iman wasn't the only one who allegedly experienced a shift. She dropped another name. Drake. Not with an accusation, with an implication. Jaguar suggested there were intersections, private moments, overlapping timelines that never became public knowledge. She claimed certain connections were carefully blurred before anyone could draw a straight line. The live chat exploded, screenshots started circulating within minutes, old photos, event footage, interviews being rewatched in real time, fans dissecting body language like it was forensic evidence, and Jaguar kept going. She mentioned Chris Brown next, describing what she called rotational proximity. Her words were cryptic but deliberate. She said when powerful names orbit the same nucleus repeatedly, it's rarely coincidence. She implied there were private alignments that never translated to public narratives. Then she dropped Kanye West. And this is where the tension shifted. Jaguar suggested that when someone already labeled unpredictable enters a delicate ecosystem, the system doesn't protect them. It contains them. She hinted that unpredictability threatens coordinated silence. And when unpredictability meets secrecy, the response becomes surgical. No public meltdown, just quiet distancing. Projects reshuffled, invitations rescinded, energy redirected. She claimed that's how you isolate without headlines. But the name that sent shockwaves through the stream? Aaron Pierre. Jaguar spoke about him with a different tone. She described him as emotionally unprepared for the environment he stepped into. She alleged that after certain relationships ended, Desi Akase, his demeanor shifted in ways that couldn't be explained by heartbreak alone. Anxiety that lingered, confusion that didn't match the official story. A kind of internal conflict, she implied, that comes from realizing you were part of something bigger than you understood. She didn't say he was harmed. She didn't say he was manipulated. She said he was managed. And that word hit differently, because Jaguar claimed that when individuals express discomfort privately, the system doesn't offer clarity. It reframes them. She alleged that concerns get labeled as instability. Questions get rebranded as overreactions. And once someone is subtly categorized as unreliable, their credibility erodes without a single public smear campaign. No headlines, no scandal, just opportunities that quietly disappear. Then Jaguar said something that made even longtime fans sit up. She mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio. The temperature in the room changed instantly. She didn't accuse him of anything specific. She didn't need to. She suggested that when names at that level appear in overlapping private circles, it signals something deeper than coincidence. She implied that there are tiers of protection in Hollywood. And the higher you climb, the faster containment activates. According to Jaguar, once internal alarms were triggered, the response wasn't chaos. It was coordination. Legal teams moved before journalists could confirm leads. Publicists reshaped timelines before fans noticed inconsistencies. Non-disclosure agreements weren't just protective tools. She described them as psychological barriers. Once signed, she claimed, individuals were left alone with experiences they couldn't discuss. Not with friends, not with collaborators, not even with partners. Isolation disguised as professionalism. She alleged that journalists sensed something long before the public did. Tips came in, questions were drafted, but stories stalled. Editors hesitated. Legal departments flagged exposure risks. Access became leverage. Push too hard, and interviews disappear. Investigate too deeply, and future exclusives dry up. And while all of this allegedly unfolded behind closed doors, the public image remained flawless. Teyana's schedule never slowed. Appearances stacked back to back. Photo shoots polished. Interviews glowing. Jaguar framed that momentum as strategy. Stillness invites scrutiny, she said. Movement creates noise, and noise distracts. Meanwhile, fans began noticing subtle fractures, sudden breakups without explanation, projects delayed indefinitely, social media posts deleted without context, clips from interviews resurfaced where energy felt different. Twitter turned into a battlefield. Some fans defended Teyana fiercely, accusing Jaguar of clout chasing. Others began compiling timelines, creating threads that mapped out every overlap, every event, every unexplained disappearance. Viral TikToks dissected facial expressions frame by frame. Instagram Lives popped up analyzing Jaguar's tone like it was courtroom testimony. And through it all, the celebrities remained silent. No denials, no clarifications, no lawsuits, just silence. Jaguar addressed that silence directly. She said the absence of reaction wasn't innocence. It was calibration. She claimed internal advisories circulated quietly after her stream. Strategic distancing, controlled language, circles tightening. Proximity, she warned, had become dangerous. Collaborators allegedly stepped back from projects. Invitations reportedly went unanswered. Conversations shortened. Not panic. Calculation. She framed it as a loyalty test. Who stays quiet? Who asks questions? Who suddenly becomes inconvenient? And then, just when viewers thought she was done, Jaguar leaned closer to the camera and said this was only the surface. She claimed more names exist, more messages exist, more patterns connect. She implied that what the public has seen so far is nothing more than the outer layer of a much larger structure. And then she said something that turned the tension into dread. She warned that the next phase wouldn't be explosive, it would be cumulative. Small confirmations, subtle slips, unscripted moments that don't align with the official narrative. She said systems built on silence eventually contradict themselves, and when they do, the damage isn't loud. It's irreversible. The live stream ended without a dramatic goodbye. No music, no final jab, just a steady look into the camera. And a final sentence that felt less like commentary and more like a warning. This story isn't done, and some of the people you think are safe aren't. The screen went black. Within minutes, clips were everywhere. And somewhere behind the scenes, according to Jaguar's own words, phones started ringing. The phones didn't just ring, they burned. Within hours of Jaguar's stream, insiders whispered that emergency meetings were already unfolding in quiet corners of Los Angeles and New York. Not flashy crisis summits, not dramatic boardroom confrontations, controlled conversations, carefully measured language, legal teams speaking in hypotheticals that felt anything but hypothetical. Publicly, nothing happened. Privately, everything did. Social media detonated first. Old clips of Teyana Taylor resurfaced and went viral overnight. Interviews that once felt playful were suddenly dissected like coded messages. A red carpet moment with Iman Shumpert, where their chemistry seemed slightly off, was reposted millions of times. TikTok analysts slowed down smiles. Twitter threads stretched into thousands of reposts, mapping timelines down to the week. And then came the alleged leak. A screenshot began circulating in private group chats before exploding onto X. It was described as a fragment of a text exchange between an unnamed management contact and an equally unnamed advisor. The message read, "Pause everything, no reactions, let it cycle." There were no names attached, no verified source, but the phrasing matched exactly what Jaguar had described. No reactions, let it cycle. The internet interpreted silence as strategy. Meanwhile, Aaron Pierre became a focal point of speculation. Fans began pointing out his recent public appearances, quieter demeanor, shorter interviews, a noticeable shift in energy. Old interviews were clipped and stitched beside newer ones. "He's different," comments repeated. "Something changed." A fan account posted what it claimed was an audio snippet from a private industry event, and the clip was grainy, distorted, barely audible. But the voice, allegedly Aaron's, said one sentence clearly: "It's not what people think." Within hours, the hashtag not what people think was trending. No confirmation, no denial, just chaos. Then the narrative expanded. Drake trended next after fans resurfaced a years-old photo of him and Teyana at a private gathering. It had barely made waves at the time. Now it was treated like evidence. Blogs began crafting speculative timelines. Commentators asked whether certain song lyrics carried double meanings. Conspiracy threads claimed there were unreleased tracks that reference her without naming her. Drake's camp remained silent, and that silence only made the fire spread faster. Then, unexpectedly, a cryptic Instagram story from Chris Brown appeared. People lie, patterns don't. No context, no explanation. It vanished within 20 minutes. Screenshots lived forever. Fans split into factions instantly. One side claimed it was unrelated. The other insisted it was confirmation. The words, "patterns don't," echoed back to Jaguar's stream. And then came the most volatile reaction of all. Kanye West posted and deleted a single line on his platform. "Truth always surfaces." That was it. 4 words, deleted within minutes, but long enough to be captured, reposted, and dissected endlessly. Suddenly, what had felt like isolated speculation started to feel interconnected. Jaguar had said unpredictability threatens controlled narratives. Now unpredictability was posting cryptic messages. Behind the scenes, sources began feeding entertainment bloggers anonymous tips. One claimed that certain collaborative projects involving Teyana had been quietly re-evaluated. Another alleged that a major endorsement deal was on pause pending optics. Optics. That word circulated like smoke. And through it all, Teyana remained composed. Paparazzi photos captured her leaving a studio. Sunglasses on, posture perfect, expression unreadable. She did not flinch. She did not address the chaos. She did not blink. But fans noticed something else. Iman posted a photo of himself with a caption that read, "Peace feels different now." Comments flooded in instantly. Was it shade? Closure? A warning? He didn't elaborate. Then a second alleged leak hit. This time, it wasn't a screenshot. It was described as a recorded phone call between 2 unnamed industry figures discussing containment protocol. The audio never surfaced publicly in full, but a transcript fragment circulated. "Keep the focus scattered. No direct rebuttals. Don't validate it." The phrase, "don't validate it," became a rallying cry online. Jaguar responded without naming anyone. She went live again, calmer than before. She said, "If it wasn't real, it wouldn't require this much coordination." That sentence alone reignited everything. Then came the confrontation rumor. An anonymous source claimed that a heated exchange took place at a private gathering days after the initial stream. Allegedly, voices were raised. Allegedly, someone demanded to know who was feeding narratives. Allegedly, someone else walked out, no footage, no confirmation. But the rumor spread like wildfire. And then, unexpectedly, Leonardo DiCaprio was pulled back into the conversation after fans unearthed footage of Teyana discussing a past love scene involving him. The clip was innocent, professional, years old. But in the context of Jaguar's implications, it felt heavier. Comment sections filled with speculation about tiers of protection and untouchable circles. Industry journalists began treading carefully. Articles referenced online speculation without repeating Jaguar's specific claims. Legal disclaimers multiplied. Words like alleged and unverified became shields. Yet the silence from the core names remained absolute. No lawsuits, no public denials, no joint statements, and that absence became its own storyline. Some fans argued that responding would dignify rumors, and others insisted that innocence demands clarity. Meanwhile, analytics showed something undeniable. Streaming numbers for multiple artists involved spiked dramatically. Controversy fueled consumption. Consumption fueled profit. Jaguar addressed that too. She claimed controversy often strengthens the very machine it critiques. She warned that chaos can be monetized while truth gets diluted. She suggested that some figures might even benefit from the storm, as long as it never crystallized into documented fact. Then came the emotional fracture. A close friend of Aaron Pierre posted a vague tweet. "Protect your peace. Not everyone deserves access." Within minutes, it was screenshotted and dissected. Was it random or reactive? The pressure intensified. Fan spaces turned combative. Comment sections became battlegrounds. Accusations of clout chasing collided with accusations of cover-ups. Viral YouTube panels debated ethics versus entertainment. TikTok creators built hour-long breakdowns connecting red carpet appearances to rumored timelines. And then something subtle but chilling happened. A well-known gossip account that had been aggressively covering the story abruptly deleted every post related to it. No explanation. Just gone. Followers noticed immediately. Legal pressure? Some speculated. Strategic retreat? Others guessed. Jaguar went quiet for 48 hours. No streams, no posts, nothing. The silence felt louder than her words. Then, late one night, she posted a single message. Check the dates, not the headlines. That was it. Fans began cross-referencing event appearances, project announcements, relationship timelines. So amateur investigators created shared documents mapping everything visually. Patterns began to look deliberate. And just as the internet reached peak frenzy, a blind item dropped from a major entertainment blog claiming that a prominent female artist is preparing a narrative pivot. Narrative pivot. 2 words that sent shockwaves. Was a tell-all interview coming? A surprise documentary? A carefully crafted statement reframing everything? No one knew, but insiders whispered that something was being drafted. And then, as if scripted by chaos itself, paparazzi caught Teyana and Iman in the same location within hours of each other. Separate entrances, separate exits, no interaction captured. But proximity alone reignited every theory. Was it coincidence or coordination? The speculation became suffocating. And just when it seemed like the storm might plateau, an anonymous email reportedly landed in the inbox of a prominent media personality. The subject line read, "This is bigger than her." The body allegedly contained timestamps, event references, mentions of additional names not yet public. The host teased it during a live stream but refused to share details, citing verification. Verification. The word hung in the air like a ticking clock. Because if even one piece of hard evidence surfaced, one confirmed message, one authenticated recording, the entire narrative would shift from speculation to documented controversy. And as of now, that line has not been crossed. But it feels closer than ever. The celebrities remain silent. The fans grow louder. The leaks grow bolder. And somewhere behind closed doors, according to whispers, strategies are being rewritten in real time. Because if Jaguar was bluffing, the machine would have crushed it instantly. Instead, it's adjusting. And adjustments only happen when something hits too close to the truth. The adjustment phase didn't look like panic. It looked like polish. Within days, carefully curated images began flooding timelines. Teyana Taylor appeared at a high-profile fashion event, radiant, composed, wrapped in couture and camera flashes. The caption beneath the official photos read, "Booked, busy, blessed." Comments split instantly, half applauding her poise, half accusing the moment of being strategic distraction. Because by now, nothing felt accidental. Not the angles, not the timing, not the silence. Then came the interview drop. A glossy magazine profile praising resilience, artistry, evolution. Not a single mention of the storm swirling online. Instead, subtle reframes, words like growth, transformation, new chapters. Observers dissected every sentence, searching for coded subtext. Was this the narrative pivot insiders hinted at? Meanwhile, Iman Shumpert posted a workout video with music blasting in the background. The lyrics? "I see through the smoke." Coincidence? Maybe. But the internet no longer believed in coincidence. Clips from Jaguar's stream resurfaced with slowed-down audio, captions highlighting phrases like managed, containment, patterns. Supporters insisted the unfolding PR wave proved her point. Critics called it paranoia wrapped in performance. Then something unexpected happened. Aaron Pierre stepped onto a red carpet. Flashbulbs exploded. Reporters shouted questions. See, he smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. One journalist dared to ask about online speculation. His response was measured. "I'm focused on my work and grateful for the support." Clean, neutral, controlled. But body language analysts on TikTok zoomed into micro-expressions. A pause before the smile, a blink too long, a tightening jaw. Within hours, compilation videos titled "He Knows Something" hit millions of views. And then, just when the narrative felt like it was looping in circles, a bombshell rumor surfaced. An entertainment lawyer allegedly reached out to multiple platforms requesting the removal of defamatory, speculative content related to unnamed clients. No lawsuits filed, no official statements, just quiet takedown requests, containment without confrontation. Exactly as Jaguar described. The internet reacted violently. So creators who received notices posted screenshots, names blurred, but the message clear. Failure to comply may result in legal action. Suddenly, fear entered the chat. Some accounts deleted content preemptively. Others doubled down, claiming intimidation confirmed legitimacy. Then Drake appeared courtside at a major game, cameras catching him laughing, relaxed, unbothered. Commentators praised his composure. But fans noted something else. He avoided interviews that night. No sideline sound bites, no off-the-cuff remarks. Strategic silence again. Hours later, Chris Brown went live briefly, speaking about energy shifts and protecting your circle. He never mentioned names. He never referenced Jaguar, but viewers flooded the chat with fire emojis and question marks until he ended the stream abruptly. And then there was Kanye West. He didn't post. He didn't comment. He disappeared entirely from social media for days. When he finally resurfaced, it was with a studio photo captioned simply, "Working." No context, no acknowledgement. The silence now felt deafening. Behind the scenes, anonymous insiders continued feeding breadcrumbs to select media figures. One claimed that a major collaborative project involving multiple names had been indefinitely postponed. Another hinted at internal meetings described as tense but controlled. Tense but controlled. That phrase echoed everywhere. Jaguar broke her silence again with a short, pointed live stream. No theatrics, no shouting. Just this. When silence requires this much maintenance, ask why. The clip went viral within minutes, and then came the moment that shifted everything. A verified industry journalist tweeted, "Multiple sources confirm that private mediation discussions occurred among parties connected to recent online allegations. No further details at this time." Private mediation. That meant conversations happened. That meant something warranted discussion. Even without specifics, the confirmation of talks ignited a fresh inferno. Fans interpreted it as proof. Skeptics demanded documentation. Lawyers likely tightened their grip. Suddenly, the story wasn't just about gossip. It was about power mechanics, about how influence moves without headlines, about how narratives are shaped before they're spoken. And the most unsettling part? No one officially denied anything, not once. The strategy remained consistent. Don't validate. But validation isn't always verbal. It can be procedural. And procedures were happening. Then a final twist detonated across social media. An anonymous account released what it claimed was a heavily redacted contract clause referencing non-disparagement, confidentiality, and mutual narrative alignment. The document had no visible names, no verified signatures, but legal experts analysing the format claimed it resembled standard entertainment NDAs. resembled. That word did heavy lifting. Jaguar reposted it with a single caption: alignment. Nothing more. The internet fractured completely after that. Some declared her vindicated. Others accused her of orchestrating chaos. But one undeniable truth hovered above it all. The machine was working overtime. PR teams flooding timelines, strategic appearances multiplying, carefully curated positivity campaigns blooming overnight. And yet, the questions refused to die because patterns had been introduced into the public consciousness. And once people start looking for patterns, they rarely stop. Industry veterans began quietly discussing the long-term damage. Not cancellations, not lawsuits, but trust erosion. The kind that doesn't trend. It lingers. Fans now watch interviews differently. They analyze pauses. They screenshot captions. They question timing. Even if no concrete evidence ever surfaces, the perception shift alone has altered the landscape. And that might be the most explosive outcome of all. Jaguar warned that this wouldn't end in one dramatic collapse. She said it would unravel slowly. Inconsistencies surfacing months later. Subtle contradictions. Unexpected alliances dissolving. She insisted the most devastating damage wouldn't be public humiliation. It would be private recalibration. And here we are. No formal accusations proven. No lawsuits filed publicly. No tearful confessions. Just a storm that refuses to settle. Because silence can suppress a headline, but it can't erase curiosity. It can't delete memory. And it can't control every whisper forever. Somewhere behind closed doors, strategies are still being revised. Somewhere, contracts are being re-examined. Somewhere, alliances are being tested. And somewhere, someone is calculating the next move. Because whether Jaguar lit a match or exposed an existing fire, the industry now knows one thing. The public is watching differently. And that awareness alone changes everything. CTA. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just another celebrity headline you scroll past and forget tomorrow. This feels bigger, heavier, more layered than the usual gossip cycle. And the truth is, stories like this don't disappear, they evolve. If you don't stay tapped in, you miss the shifts, the subtle confirmations, the quiet reversals, the moments that seem small but mean everything. So don't just watch, engage, drop your thoughts below. Do you believe this is strategic silence or smoke without fire? Did those cryptic posts feel random to you or coordinated? I want to know exactly where you stand. Hit like if you believe there's more beneath the surface. Subscribe right now because the second a verified detail drops, you already know this channel is breaking it down in real time. No delay, no filter. And turn on notifications. Because in a story built on silence, timing is everything. The next update could change the entire narrative. And you do not want to be the last to know. If you're still here, that means you felt it. You felt the tension. You felt the cracks forming. You felt that uneasy sense that something bigger is unfolding beneath the polished red carpets and filtered Instagram posts. And here's the truth. Stories like this don't explode all at once. They unravel, quietly, strategically, piece by piece. The next leak, the next cryptic caption, the next no comment, the next unexpected alliance shift. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen in an hour. And when it does, you do not want to be the person catching up from scraps in someone else's comments section. So right now, hit that like button if you believe there's more to this than we're being told. That one click tells the algorithm this story deserves to stay visible. Drop a comment and tell me where you stand. Is this master-level containment? Is it smoke without fire? Or is this the beginning of something Hollywood can't control anymore? I'm reading everything. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on notifications immediately. Because when the next receipt drops, when someone finally speaks, when silence turns into confirmation, you'll already be here, watching it unfold in real time. Don't blink.